Good afternoon. Seems weird doing this video on this topic now, having just been for a picnic at Savernake in this lovely weather. Hope you've been out and enjoying it, and I thought I'd touch on this now because rather than talk about what I had for my picnic, which was we had leftover chicken, cream cheese, salmon, bagels. What else do we have? Anchovies, carrot sticks, salami. Anyway, I won't go on. I wanted to talk about something that keeps coming up a lot, and it comes up a lot when people are doing well. You know, we all have that thing where we're doing well and we don't like to big ourselves up, so we say, yeah, but I won't be able to stick to this when it gets cold and dark. We go into that future-facing mode. And afternoon, Sandra, and I just want to touch on the fact that you always have the present moment to choose to be healthy. You always have this moment right now to decide whether you're going to make a choice that you're going to benefit from or not. And that's liberating to know, because when you're in the present moment, you always have that choice. Rather than when we're in that anxious state where we're thinking, I won't be able to do this in the future. We're just making situations up in the future. And sure, we're going to have obstacles, but I'm going to touch on them now. So it is true that as the seasons change, it gets dark, cold. No lie, it's harder to get up when it's dark and cold. And it's harder to get out the house again in the evening when it's dark and cold. That's fair to say, right? No one's more motivated when it's dark, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, and so this brings me to SAD, which is seasonal affective disorder. So you might have heard of it before. It's essentially, the symptoms are essentially low mood, not really feeling up for doing stuff. Maybe you sleep more often. Maybe you feel lethargic, lacking of energy. Afternoon, Diana, lacking energy. Maybe you feel a bit like you're craving more foods, like comfort foods, in particular carbohydrates perhaps, which is interesting. Well, I'll come on to that in a second. The causes being lack of sunlight. Your circadian rhythm may be out of whack a bit. Obviously, we use the light to dictate kind of when we get up and down, but obviously with societal influences, we don't. You know, we get up when we have to get up, and we go to bed when we have to go to bed. We have TV, we have light coming at us all over the place. We have to do stuff, so that we work shift work in some instances. So what can you do? Now, there are a few things you can do, and some are a bit more thinking outside the box a bit more, a bit like, you know, let's see what happens. Others a bit more proven, if you like, to help. So number one is a really obvious one, and that is just making sure you get sunlight, or at least daylight. You're outside at some point when it's light, because when the day does get short, you've got to think that, you know, if you're working between the hours of 9 to 5, your only window really is the lunch break. So can you get outside at that lunch time just to get some sunlight in there, just to change the way you feel a bit? More afternoon, Jill. Can you do that? Can you get some exercise in the morning just to kind of wake yourself up a bit, even if it's a walk? Doing that, or as hard as it is at the time, I can guarantee it'll make you feel better. Number two would be vitamin D. You've probably seen this thrown around everywhere at the moment. Not only can it help with upper respiratory tract infections, your immune system, but also your mood as well. And if you consider that, even in a study they did in Barcelona, of all places where there is sun, more sun than we get, they found that 68% were deficient in vitamin D. And it begs the question, if you think about our daily lives in terms of how long we work, how much we're inside, how when we do go outside we have to wear sun cream, which can inhibit the absorption. If you consider all these factors, even when it is hot, we're probably, and when we get a lot of sun, we're probably not getting enough still. So supplementing with vitamin D3, will it do any harm unless you're having loads of the stuff? No. Always check with your GP before to see if you should or not. But in general, look it up, because, yeah, I personally take it, and it's a public health recommendation as well, between the months of October and April. I personally take it year round unless I'm out in the sun, unless I'm out for at least 20 minutes a day between those months, which would be May and September. So that's your vitamin D, D3. Other things you can do food related are a bit more linked to serotonin. So I did mention carbohydrates. You may have more cravings for carbohydrates. And this could be linked to certain foods that make you feel a bit better. Now, things like bananas, for example, may help. You've got certain fruits that may help. Turkey, which maybe that's why we have it at Christmas, which could boost your serotonin. Eggs, cheese. I'm not giving you too much permission here to eat cheese, but they're all foods that could boost your serotonin a bit. With the nutrition, that's very much like could. And in general, if you think about it, a lot of them are whole foods, like eggs, salmon, turkey, things like that, which are probably going to keep you quite full up as well. So they're quite satisfying in terms of nutrition you get, not to mention the vitamin D and omega-3 that you might get from salmon, and potentially eggs as well. So there are some things you can do. There are other therapies that people do, CBT, because it is to do with mental health. So CBT, so cognitive behavioral therapy, and also lights. So you can get like light boxes, which essentially help you with your circadian rhythm. So you can get light at a time when it's dark outside and you can't get the natural light. So I know that is actually recommended NHS, I believe, now as well. Not on the NHS, though, I imagine. So, yeah, I hope that's helpful, because I know a lot of the ladies on our Kickstart program have been saying, it's all well and good now, but I think I'm going to find it harder. And I would just say that, yeah, it will be a bit harder. But don't be too hard on yourself, and don't compare when you're finding it amazing to where you're gonna be. It might just be that you lower your expectations for that time. Be okay with that. But I think what the most important thing to do is to remember that you can't control your thoughts. You can't control these worries. You can't control, we almost have an anxiety that we can't control the fact that we don't know how we're going to get on in a month's time or 2 months' time, whether there'll be another lockdown. All these things are based on the fact we can't actually control them, rather than the thing itself quite often. But there is one thing you can control, and that is your behaviour. No matter what you think or feel, you can control what you do. For example, I can be really tired. I can be really tired, but I can still work out. I can be really tired, but I can still go to work. Likewise, I can be really tired and I can just eat to try and get more energy, which I know is a ridiculous thing to do, but in the time, I kind of feel like if I'm tired, I maybe need it. But I know deep down that's not probably the thing that's going to benefit me most in terms of my energy, productivity, what I'm like to be around with others. Jill's asked, what's a good brand of vitamin D3 to buy? As long as it's D3, you're pretty good. If I'm honest, I normally go for my protein, but any's fine. As long as it's D3 and not D2. D2 is less absorbable than D3. They often put D2 in like cereals and like milk alternatives, but D2 is literally not very absorbable. So I wouldn't assume you're getting enough if you're having D2, most likely. Hey Sandy. Anyway, I hope that helps. Let me know if any of them you're going to implement. And if you have any questions, as always, do let me know. Our next 28-day kickstart is beginning on the 28th of September. That's in Marlborough, Devizes, or you can do everything from home. So if you want more information on that, do let me know. It is for ladies over 40. We go through the exercise, we go through your starting plan, the nutrition side of things, so everything's clear and personalised for you. And that's the key thing with all of this. I've said a load of things today to do with this, but it depends on your work-life balance, whether you work shifts, whether you're working from home, whether you have that, what your schedule's like, how we can fit in the workouts, whether it's a walk one day, whether it's 10-minute workout from home, whether it's coming to the sessions. There's always a way. It's just about not comparing it to being all about on or off. When I want to start, I have to be all on it. I can't just focus on the nutrition at once, when actually that's actually quite a good idea to do it. We describe it like the 3 F's. So you got the food, the fitness, and the focus, the self-care. If you focus on one of them at a time, you're probably going to find the one that almost is the domino to the next one. So for example, if I exercise, I generally eat better, I generally feel better, I generally have more energy. That's kind of the key one for me. And when you look at that, right, what's the key one I need to do to change my energy? You can focus on that one first. Anyway, enough of that. Hope you've had a good Sunday. Any questions, as always, do let me know. I am off to do our raffle now for inside our Kickstart program in our private support group. Is you get a raffle ticket for attending a session. As soon as you do, if you've done a session, whether online or in person, you get a raffle ticket for your chances to win a load of gear, from t-shirts to water bottles to £50 voucher. That is today's raffle. So I'm off to do that now. So any questions, as always, let me know, and speak soon.